Could Revan have actually turned to the dark side to save the Republic? Greetings, Acolytes, and welcome back to the vast, ever-expanding archives. Revan, a man known by his many names. To his enemies, he was the Butcher. To his followers, the Conqueror. To history, maybe even a savior. Today, we have a very special holocron that we have plucked from the archives, one that lends even more credence to the final title of Revan the Savior. Revan is an incredibly complicated character, one which neither the Sith nor the Jedi know exactly how to treat in their histories. Revan began as a hero of the Mandalorian War and threat, only to cut so many moral corners that he ended up ruining an entire planet, and his reputation among the Jedi was forever tarnished. He vanishes into the unknown regions, only to return as a Sith Lord to wage war on the Republic that he once protected, and the Jedi that he once served. No one truly knew why this happened, but when we actually look into the mind of Revan himself, not the histories, and use context clues with the time, we can discern that everything Revan did, even as Darth Revan, was done in service to protecting the Republic, protecting them from a much larger, growing threat. The threat of Darth Vitiate, the Emperor. So now, without further ado, if you have not yet joined our archives for this mysterious lore, reach out and subscribe. It is your destiny, and the holocron will now be opened. Was Revan truly a butcher, or was he a savior? To begin, I believe that we should briefly revisit the events leading up to the Jedi Civil War, and determine exactly why and how Revan and Malak fell to the dark side. First things first, their descent wasn't something that happened instantaneously, as many believe. Rather, their turn likely began the moment that Revan declared war on the Mandalorians. What prompted Revan to do this was an investigation into a supposed atrocity that the Mandalorians committed on a planet known as Cathar. It would be on Cathar where Revan would be changed forever. Examining a Mandalorian mask and learning through the gift of psychometry that the Mandalorians had massacred a group of innocent civilians and their own who opposed them, Revan declared that he would stop at nothing before he achieved vengeance and retribution. This in itself was exceptionally controversial, as no Jedi should declare war based off of pure emotion. But this was always the war that Revan waged, one of justice, vengeance, and one of grief. By the end of the war, Revan had done the unthinkable and used the mass shadow generator to defeat the Mandalorian fleet, only to kill tens of thousands in the process, as the machine devastated the world of Malachor, and Revan murdered his own men. Mandalore the Ultimate was defeated in single combat by Revan aboard his flagship. But before the war general died, he informed Revan of a true purpose. A Sith Lord had appeared to him and had convinced Mandalore the Ultimate to go on his holy crusade against the Republic, telling him that it was his destiny. As he lay dying, Mandalore even told Revan a place where he could find truth of what he spoke of. Revan was incredibly distraught and disturbed by this revelation, and went on his own search in order to see if it was possible that the Sith were still alive. At this time, it had been 50 years since the Republic had last seen any trace of the Sith, as it was believed that they had all died out with Exar Kun. Since the war had left the Republic in shambles, and the Jedi a shadow of their former glory, Revan was quick to sniff out if any Sith Lord could actually still be alive, and worse, behind a new war. A Sith posed an incredible threat to an already weakened galaxy. Following Mandalore's instructions, Revan and his best friend Malak went to the icy world of Rakiad and discovered a tomb of the Sith Lord known as Dramoth II. Inside Dramoth's sarcophagus was a datacron that spoke of a planet by the name of Nathema, and the two Jedi decided together where they would seek out the truth of the Sith, as they now believed that what Mandalore had spoken was true, and that a Dark Emperor had been behind the entire conflict. Revan's holy war had just been a desperate grab for power by a darker threat. Before departing the tomb though, Revan left Mandalore's mask in Dramoth's sarcophagus to ensure that the Mandalorians would never rediscover it. They would both take what remained of their forces, and together Revan and Malak would vanish into the unknown, telling anyone that would listen that they were pursuing leftover Mandalorians, not revealing the truth of their mission. On Nathema, the two Jedi found a stormy world devoid of the Force or any life. Just standing on the surface was maddening, but from here, the two Jedi continued their search and ended up learning a name, Vitiate. Vitiate was a Sith who was now nearly 1,000 years old due to the ritual that he had performed on the cursed world of Nathema. And along with this information came the knowledge that the Sith Empire was alive and well, secretly hiding in the unknown regions, bringing the Jedi directly to their next stop, the Sith capital world of Dromund Kaas. Upon arriving to Dromund Kaas, both of the Jedi spent several months undercover in order to ascertain all the knowledge they could about this new threat. This turned up to be a plot by the Sith Emperor, who wanted to invade the Republic with a new fighting force, and believed that Revan and Malak were perfect. But Vitiate knew of their arrival nearly instantaneously, as he had developed a sort of secret obsession over Revan, and realized that Revan had made a crucial mistake. Instead of contacting the Jedi Council, the two Jedi were overconfident, as together the two Jedi rushed to the Emperor's throne room, finally infiltrating the Empire in full. The Jedi were compelled to do this because they wanted to prove the Council was wrong, that their war was worth it, and that the Jedi Order should always be ready for action. Instead though, Vitiate was prepared. He knew that the two of them had been there the entire time, and instead of murdering them where they stood, Vitiate used an incredibly powerful gift in the Force, dominating the minds of the overconfident Jedi, who, unbeknownst to them, had welcomed the embrace of the dark side, giving Vitiate a foothold within their very consciousness. Vitiate dubbed them Darth Revan and Darth Malak, and ordered them to return to the galaxy that they knew, a new vanguard to his invasion force. They would serve as scouts, softening the Republic, taking out all of the Republic fleets using the power of the Starforge before the Sith would mobilize. Revan and Malak returned to the galaxy as Sith Lords themselves, and quietly hunted down each star map leading to the ancient Rakata superweapon. Soon, Revan would discover the giant forge which had the capability to consume the Force, the raw energy, in order to craft endless amounts of ships, droids, and all manner of weapons. Interestingly, by the time Revan and Malak actually stepped into the Starforge, Vitiate's mental hold on them shattered completely. It was something about the power there and the semi-sentience of the Starforge which allowed Revan and Malak to break control. But although they were now free, they were still irreparably twisted by the dark side. The Emperor's final command to them was to defeat the Republic. This command ingrained into their minds, as Revan had interpreted the orders to be his own thoughts and his own plan, not the plan of a larger Emperor. Although mentally he was free from Vitiate, the damage had been done, and Revan could not recall exactly what was out there deep in the unknown regions, but he knew it was something big. Revan then determined that in order to protect the Republic, a Republic that he had been correct about concerning the Mandalorian War, and a war that he had won, Revan would remake the Republic. And this is what began his plan for a 20-year conquest. With his fleet made from the Starforge, Revan officially announced his Sith Empire, and recruited many Jedi to his cause, loyalists during the Mandalorian War. The Jedi attempted to rise up against him, and what began would later be called by historians the Jedi Civil War. But the Jedi was of little concern to Revan. He had spent his time organizing the assassinations of several key senators, as well as political opponents, and with his newly highly trained Sith assassins, Revan planned a surgical strike in order to rid the Republic of its weaker parts. Even as a Dark Lord, Revan had regretted the mass shadow generator, and did not plan on recreating that incident ever again. He would be a righteous Dark Lord. Once Revan rid the Republic of its weakest links, then he would be able to remake it into something greater, a true threat to Vitiate's hidden Sith. Revan wanted to rule the Republic as a wise and a powerful military leader. With all the power of the backing of the Starforge, Revan had figured that he'd simply be able to repel any invasion from the unknown. Not only this, but he also had the knowledge of the dark side now, and a willingness to cross the boundaries that a Jedi could not. The Jedi of this era stood no chance against Vitiate, but Revan determined that if he remade the Jedi Order, then they could become powerful enough to be a force to be reckoned with. Perhaps they would no longer be Jedi at all, but something far more powerful. What's fascinating about this is that thousands of years later, Dooku would have the same thought. In the end though, Revan's conquest during the Jedi Civil War had not been for power or domination. Though he was still a Dark Lord, the real Revan was still deep within the consciousness, and the Republic and the Jedi were in a truly pathetic situation and state. A vast number of Jedi had been lost in the war with Exar Kun, and not only this, but their homeworld of Ossus had also been devastated in the previous war, resulting in the Jedi Order losing thousands of years of knowledge. The Jedi Order was truly on its last legs. The Republic was also crippled from the Mandalorian Wars, and Revan assumed power, taking the strongest of their leaders as his own loyalists. Even many Jedi would defect and became Dark Jedi, as they looked to Darth Revan as a leader, one that could break them from their weak slump and their weak state of mind. Though he was misguided, Revan ultimately did want to protect the galaxy from Vitiate, and had Revan achieved this, the Great Galactic War would have assumed much sooner, and the Republic would have been prepared. Luckily for Vitiate though, the Jedi would wipe Revan's memory, and he would lose all his knowledge about a threat lurking in the deep beyond. With this, Malak also lost sight of their goal, as he became obsessed with the Starforge. Revan had seen the intoxicating power do its work before, and he had seen how the Rakatans were desperately enslaved to the Starforge's power. Revan decided then and there that he needed to limit his interaction with the weapon, only ever visiting in order to organize and construct ships in order to oversee the fleet's completion. Malak saw this as weakness though, and did not understand Revan's hesitation to use this great power, so Malak spent all of his time there, learning as much as he could the secrets of the ancient weapon. The Starforge warped and twisted Malak's mind beyond what even Revan had suffered, and caused Darth Malak to completely leave behind their goals of protecting and remaking the Republic. Malak wanted an empire, and Malak had also gone slightly insane, something that is common for the Sith. But to complete our holocron, we wanted to address a natural question. Does this mean that Revan was ever truly a Sith? Despite the knowledge that he wanted to save the Republic from Vitiate, we believe with all of our hearts that Revan was truly a full Dark Lord of the Sith. When he broke from Vitiate's mental hold, Revan deemed himself and Malak to be Sith, and he even made a holocron, one where Darth Revan would store his thoughts on the nature between the Sith Master and an apprentice. This one holocron would go on to serve as inspiration for Bane's rule of two. And of course, although Revan's goals were not entirely of conquest, Revan had every intention of abolishing the Jedi and making his Sith Empire a replacement. Of course, it's difficult to tell whether Revan's desire to keep Vitiate from conquering the Republic was one born out of a desire to keep the galaxy safe, or a feeling of jealousy of Vitiate, a belief that no one deserved to rule more than himself. He had already sacrificed so much for it. In this way, Revan is a lot more like Darth Krayt, men who decided to use the Sith to control the Sith Order. Both men believed the Jedi were too weak and incompetent to keep the galaxy of chaos in order, so they both decided to use the power of the dark side to do what the Jedi could not: protect the Republic and not see it be destroyed, torn apart by its weaker, lesser parts. But now, my friends, this was the real reason why Revan embraced the dark side. Tell us, how do you hope there was something more to Revan's desires than simply power and conquest? And did this information confirm what you had already been suspecting? What are your thoughts on Revan and his decisions? As always, my friends and fellow acolytes of the Force, thank you so much for giving us some time today in the archives, and may the Force be with you.